Hi everyone, I'm Leticia from ExxonMobil. We're here with Mike Borrelli. Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about how you got first in the boat industry.
Well, my name is Mike Borrelli. I'm the owner and president of Metan Marine Restoration, and we're also the builder of a boat line called the Classic Collections. We've been doing this for about 30 years. One of the first companies I did get involved with, coincidentally enough, was Awlgrip. So Awlgrip has been a part of making it Metan now for 30 years. And, we're thrilled to be now influencers for them and being able to help promote a product and really help promote Metan over the years. So really happy to be, we're really happy to be here. Looking forward to, more discussions with some industry peers that, other than talking to them via Instagram, I don't get the opportunity to really talk to them one-on-one. So I've really enjoyed that.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about what a day look like for you on your daily basis.
Well, we got 8 to 10 guys who work in the shop. And we do fiberglass repair, we do restorations and refits, and we build our own boats. So needless to say, at any one particular time, we have anywhere from 15 to 25 different projects. So basically managing those on a day-to-day basis, making sure everybody's doing their task at hand for that day. Although I still do a ton of painting, which I really still enjoy doing. And I do all the rigging and wiring to the boats. So I am still very much involved in the shop. I split my time pretty evenly, and I work about 27 hours in a day. But I love what I'm doing, so it really doesn't matter to me. As long as I'm involved in building boats, I say to my guys all the time, guys, you come to work every day and work on boats. I can think of a lot of other things that wouldn't be as fun to do.
Sounds fun. Okay, and what first drew you working with Awlgrip?
Well, when I first got into this, one of the first projects I did was actually painting a 54-foot striker sport fish. And the unusual thing about the strikers, they're built out of aluminum. So it was a good way of stepping into the marine industry because I'm an ex-auto body and mechanic. So I was used to working with metal. So to make the first step wasn't fiberglass, it was actually aluminum. And I found the Awlgrip supplier, a local supplier, and they were very friendly with Steve Smith, who was the rep. God rest his soul, he was such a gentleman. And they gave me Steve's number. And Steve coached me through that project, coached me through each of the materials and different products that we use. So I had no idea. I was familiar with spraying, I was familiar with primers and paints, but not in the marine or aeronautic industry. So I owe a lot to Mr. Smith, God rest his soul. He was a dear friend, huge supporter of Metan for many years.
That's super nice.
Yeah.
But good. Thanks for sharing this story. Pretty cool. Okay, and how has Awlgrip helped you to achieve better results for your customers?
Well, I think the biggest thing was the introduction of Allcraft 2000. We didn't always have the ability to apply in a controlled environment. And when they came out with Allcraft 2000, I remember Steve telling me about it. It was a little bit more forgiving than their linear urethane. So at the beginning, it really helped us. Now, we 100% rely on Allcraft 2000, now Allcraft 3000, more because we like to go through a polishing stage, and everything that we paint, we clear coat also. So being able to clear coat and really make a surface perfect, we can lay down paint like glass, but you're always going to end up with some what we call spegma. It's a term in the painting industry. So, a little piece of dust here and there. And with acrylic urethane, you're able to wet sand and buff those imperfections out. So that was really probably the biggest thing that Awlgrip offered that was a game changer, for our clients, and being able to apply the paint in a not so perfect environment.
Got it. Interesting. And we were talking about the Awlgrip 2000, also the 3000. And what are other products that you really like about Awlgrip?
Well, we use all wood. If anybody knows about Metan, we brought woodwork back into the industry. But we weren't going to bring woodwork back into the industry to hand off to a future client a headache of having to revarnish every 2 or 3 years. So with Allwood, along with Allcraft 2000 and Allcraft 3000, we've developed our own coating process using your folks' products that we now call Metan glass. And now we're able to introduce woodwork back into the marine industry without the headache, handing off a headache to the client, knowing that we tell all our clients, if you just keep the surface covered when you're not using the boat, you'll get 10 years out of this, if not long. It's all matter of maintenance. And a better example is, you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars having cushions made for your boat. But if you leave them out in the rain, constantly they're going to get ruined. Well, it's the same thing with wood. So when you're not using a boat, keep it covered, protect it, and you'll get a decade out of our wood finishes.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, and can you share a standout project that you've worked on using Awlgrip products? Anyone comes in mind?
I could probably think of 2, say recently. I'd say recently within the last few years. And one of them has to be our modern Mako. We rebuilt a 25-foot Mako for Billy the Pizza Man. Billy owns the best pizza joint in the United States. Give him a plug. It's called Modern A Pizza, New Haven, Connecticut. And we called the boat Modern Mako. And we did it in a color scheme where we brought the entire boat, we painted the entire boat in a stone gray metallic. Everything we painted in stone gray metallic. But then we introduced the color of his seats in his pizza parlor, which is a red orange, and we brought that in the upholstery. And as far as I'm concerned, it's probably one of the coolest looking boats we've ever done. And then we also did, about 4 or 5 years ago, we fixed a 42-foot Boston whaler that got hammered in Hurricane Harvey. And we had to repaint the whole boat. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll see the episodes of the repair. It was a major fiberglass repair to the hull, so we painted the hull. And that boat was originally painted in a robin egg. And so we went with a robin egg blue metallic, but then we added some blue pearl to the clear. And it was one of the prettiest boats we've ever painted. So then really, I got to clump like 150 boats together, because in our heyday back in the early 2000s, we teamed up with a company called Boston Boat Works that was building the MJM motor yachts. And at the time, we painted over 150 of those boats. So we got the opportunity early on, name the color, we've painted it. And they were pretty trick paint jobs where they have cove stripes and a metallic gold. And then, so we would put the cove stripe on first, mask the cove stripe off, then put the color, then peel the cove stripe, pull the tape off the cove stripe, and clear over the whole surface to make the cove stripe and the color seamless. So you didn't even feel the difference. It was all buried underneath the clear. And we did, like I said, 150 of those. And we painted so many different colors. So it was cool to be able to constantly see a different color. Yeah. Even though a lot of them were flag blue, because that was the big color at the time. But we did do a series of probably 20 different colors.
Oh, nice. And talking about colors, do you recall any Awlgrip color that stood out for you?
Awlgrip came out with the visualizer. Mm-hmm. And we used the visualizer on 2 projects. One of them was local, and Ryan's wife couldn't make it to the shop. So she went on the visualizer and picked the color out herself, and she came up with petrol blue. So that was special because it was the first time we had a client pick a color out virtually. And it's a killer color. It's this darker pastel blue, and we did it with a clear coat. And we also added a little blue pearl to the clear. That boat came out awesome. And then just recently on our new Barretto Cove 26, same thing. Our client is from Georgia. And although he's from Georgia, he grew up in North Carolina, and he's a huge University of North Carolina fan. And we're painting the boat in University of North Carolina Tar Heel colors. So he was able to go on the visualizer and find the right color, and we matched it up to a custom color called Etzel Blue, and we did it in that and a stark white to represent the University of North Carolina.
Oh, that's beautiful. I can imagine already.
They're on YouTube.
Yeah.
But go to our YouTube channel and subscribe.
Okay, and tell us, what do you love about Awlgrip?
Really, the number one thing with Awlgrip has been their reps. It's been their reps. We all know they got a great product. It's their reps. Starting with the late Steve Smith, who was a dear friend, who just was a bank of knowledge early on, that if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have half the knowledge early on that I had, was, without his guidance. And then he was followed by Tim Taylor, who to this day is a dear friend of mine. So I've been so lucky with all these guys who become buddies of mine, and they've been with me. Tim's been with me every bit of 20 plus years. He's been around 20 something years. So they've had the opportunity to watch Metan grow into what we are now. So they know what it was like way back when. And it's just good. It's humbling to know that I'm surrounded by people who remember back then.
That's good.
So the number one thing is definitely the reps.
Okay, good. And if you had to define Awlgrip in just 3 words, what would they be and why?
Yeah, that's easy. Awlgrip coatings. Huge part. Making it Metan.
Do you have any exciting plans for the future?
Yeah, I mean, probably our biggest thing is we recently came out with our new 32, and we added the 32 and the 26 to our boat line, which is 13, 17, and 21. And those are a replica of the classic whalers, however, built completely different and finished completely different. Well, we did the same thing with a well-known brand called Seacraft. We brought back the original Seacraft, Carl Mosley designed Seacraft, came out with a 26 and 32. We finished the 32 before we finished the 26, and we're just about ready to finish our first 26, which we used that Etzel Blue. That's the fly-in for the University of North Carolina. And we're about 2 months away from finishing that project. So that's probably the most exciting thing that's happening under Metan's roof right now.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Really, share with us.
Share it, see it on YouTube.
That's fine. Thank you so much, Mike. Really good to have you here. I hope you
thanks for
appreciate
having
it. Of course.